I believe we will pass my Build Back Better plan, and I believe we will pass the infrastructure bill. Maybe it won't work, but I believe we'll see by the end of next week at home that it's passed.
The political games have to stop. For the sake of the country, I urge the House to vote and pass the bipartisan infrastructure bill. Holding this bill hostage is not going to work in getting my support for reconciliation bill.
Well, it doesn't seem like it's moving that fast. We don't know if it's going to come together this week. It doesn't appear that way with what Senator Joe Manchin said today as these two bills are up on Capitol Hill. Meantime, asked about those bills in an ABC poll, here's how people responded. If they become law, would it help people like you? 25%. Hurt people like you? 32%. That's just over the past couple of days. We'll start there with our panel. Let's bring them in. Washington Post columnist Mark Thiessen, Leslie Marshall, Democratic strategist, and Kimberly Strassel, member of the editorial board at the Wall Street Journal. Kimberly, let me start with you. You know, it's not surprising that Joe Manchin comes out and says, I want to see the specifics. I want to see what the impact's going to be. And I'm not just going to pass something without knowing what's in it. He's kind of been saying that all along. But where does this go?
You know, he did actually make some news today, Bret, because if you drill down into what he said, a lot of attention to this buzzwords about shell games and gimmicks, but he got more specific in that. He said, look, if you have all these programs and you only have them run a couple of years and you claim that they're going to end when they don't, you know, the bill is actually like twice the amount of 1.75, and I said 1.75. Well, if you extrapolate that, it means stuff is going to have to come out of this bill, like big programs. He also expressed some concern about the climate provisions. He's not close to a yes, and major modifications are going to happen from what they've talked about in the House. Yet still, the question is, how much will progressives swallow of that, and when will they say no themselves?
Yeah, and progressives seem to be saying, okay, we'll trust the president and the administration and let's move forward, Leslie. I'm not sure it's going to hold, but we'll see.
Well, actually, Kimberly and I don't rarely agree, but today would be one day where progressives have to, you know, make a decision. I'm a Democrat. I've said it before. These should not have been married, these two pieces of legislation. And I feel as a moderate centrist that the Progressive Caucus is holding us hostage. And I think that all Democrats, whether it's a Manchin, a Sinema, or a Sanders, have to decide, do they want to have a lost gubernatorial election tomorrow in Virginia? Do they want to lose more seats in the House and Senate and lose majority in both the House and Senate and perhaps in the White House in 2024. We have to work together, and big programs have already gone to the wayside, one of which Senator Sanders will not let go of, because you have 15 Democrats that are very vulnerable in their districts who have promised lower drug prices. That's something Manchin doesn't like and Sanders seems to require, and he definitely heads the Progressive Caucus.
Mark, the president is facing some pretty bad poll numbers in recent days. You look at this NBC poll, his approval stands at 42% approval, disapprove 54%. On the internals of that poll, there's all kinds of questions where Republicans are really up. If the Marist poll, election confidence, better chance of winning 2024, Biden at 36%, someone else at 44%. Here's the president talking about polls this weekend.
The polls are going to go up and down and up and down. Look at every other president. The same thing has happened. But that's not why I ran. I didn't run to determine how well I'm going to do in the polls. I said that I would make sure that we were in a position where we dealt with climate change, where we moved in a direction that was significantly improved the prospects of American workers being able to have good jobs and good pay. And further, that I would make sure that we dealt with the crisis that was caused by COVID. We've done all of those.
You know, polls do go up and down, Mark, but they've been going down. And even Terry McAuliffe here in Virginia has acknowledged that that's a significant headwind.
And going down like a rock. I mean, he's right that like approval ratings go up and down, but it's very hard to recover when only 37% of the American people say that you're competent. When people make a decision that you are incompetent, it is very hard to recover from that, and that is the most devastating number in that poll. 50% of the American people think he's incompetent, and just the Joe Manchin press conference today is evidence of that incompetence. So Joe Manchin isn't just another stakeholder in this debate. He's got a veto. Let's be straight about it. If he doesn't agree to it, it's not going to get passed. So why would you release a framework that you haven't cleared with Joe Manchin yet? And then have this whole debacle unfold over the last week. You need to sit down with Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema, figure out what they're willing to accept, what they're willing to not accept, craft that as the framework, and say to the other Democrats, this is it. If you want the Build Back Better, this is what it is, and you're going to have to live with it, and get their votes locked in before you start releasing it.
Now, the White House, even after that press conference, said, no, we will have Senator Manchin's approval eventually. They need to talk to Senator Manchin, perhaps, about that. One last poll heading into Election Day, Kimberly. This is the RCP poll, Youngkin and McAuliffe, Real Clear Politics, Youngkin up 1.7 heading into Election Day. That is a significant turnaround from where this race was at the beginning.
Yeah, and just to continue this theme, it has to be related to the White House. Obviously, McAuliffe's made some mistakes on education, but this is about what's going on in D.C. And you have to wonder how things would look different, Bret, if Biden had taken the win on that infrastructure bill at the beginning of September, said, I'm a bipartisan president, and moved on. I think things might look better both in terms of those polling numbers and in terms of that Virginia race.
All right, when we come back with the panel, tomorrow's headlines. Finally, tonight, a look at tomorrow's headlines with the panel. Kim, first to you.
Despite wild predictions of the imminent demise of Roe v. Wade, a majority of Supreme Court justices look skeptically on what is, in fact, a pretty technically and legally complex Texas abortion law.
Leslie.
Despite headlines that Democrats are infighting and can't get it together, the Progressive Caucus and the centrist moderate Democrats come to an agreement on both having the infrastructure and reconciliation bills go forward, and yes, they will pass.
Okay, let's see. Mark.
Mine's not from tomorrow, but from 2100. Glasgow Climate Conference wrong. Climate change was not an existential threat. The world did not end. We're still here.
All right, Mark. Thank you.